Hello and welcome to a very, very, very special edition of More Yoga Journeys. So, if you have been following More Yoga Journeys, which I know Tor has been here before, and hi Sherry. So you will know that Yvonne O'Garro at Yvonne Henrietta Yoga is the host of More Yoga Journeys. But tonight we are flipping the tables and Yvonne is the guest. So give it up for Yvonne and Before I let you introduce yourself, Yvonne, I'm just going to explain a little bit about More Yoga Journeys. So following the Black Lives Matters protests, More Yoga approached Yvonne and asked Yvonne to create a space for yogis of color. And Yvonne created More Yoga Journeys as a platform for yogis of color and to amplify melanated voices. And the reason that I have the great honor of interviewing Yvonne this evening is because I kept looking at the schedule and thinking, where is Yvonne? When are you going to tell your story? So I'm going to stop talking now. And Yvonne, I'm going to let you introduce yourself. Tell us a bit about you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. And thank you so much to Amanda for prodding me and asking me when I was going to share my story. So thank you so much. So I am Yvonne O'Garro. I am a restorative and hatha yoga teacher. And I'm proud to say I've made a recent transition from a very long HR career, and proud of that because it was like when I'm 53, so I started teacher training at 50 because I just decided it was needed to be something different. So I am a proud yoga teacher who switched career midlife. So yeah, that's me.
Amazing. I want to say that I went to one of your classes and I was like, this teacher has something magic. This teacher has something special. It's true. Hi, Monica. And I just want everybody to know about your work because it's really important, and the importance of hatha yoga, restorative yoga, yoga that's, what's the word? Calms the nervous system, brings the nervous system into a parasympathetic state. That's so important, and you do it with such magic. So I think this is a wonderful opportunity for everyone to get to know you, to get to know what you do, and hopefully if you haven't practiced with Yvonne, where have you been, to get to the studio or online now and practice with Yvonne.
Too kind.
So, first question. Honoring our ancestors, tell us your family lineage.
Sorry, I'm laughing because this is so weird. I have to say, this is so weird to have the tables turned on me. I'm hearing the question thinking, I know that question. Anyway, so to answer the question, my family lineage is Caribbean. Both my late parents were from an island called Montserrat, a small island in the Caribbean. It's 27 miles across from Antigua. I was born here. Both of my parents are born on the island, and it remains to this day a British overseas dependent territory. Lots of the Caribbean islands sought their own independence from, the British colonial rule many years ago, but Montserrat didn't. So my parents always had British passports from birth. So yeah, always been British from birth. So the interesting thing with Montserrat is it has a real connection with Ireland. So my last name, I've changed it on screen now, but my last name is O'Garro, which is a clearly Irish name. So it goes back to like the slavery and the Irish connections with the potato famine. And there's still more history for me to dig up, but basically there is a clear Irish connection with Montserrat. Hence, all the parishes have got Irish names.
Wow.
So shout out to my two yogi sister cousins, Jay Gibbs, also from Montserrat, her family, she was on a few weeks ago, and Tamsin Jade.
And have you been to Montserrat? Have you?
Yeah, years and years ago. I haven't been since about 2008, 2008, I think. Yeah, a while ago.
Amazing, thank you.
Because St. Lucia is my favourite island. I know family probably throw things at me for saying it, but I'm being honest, yeah.
Well, I've heard good things about St. Lucia, definitely. And I don't know enough about Montserrat, but I'd love to discover more. Okay, when, where, and with whom was your first yoga class?
Okay, so that was 2006 in a gym, David Lloyd Gym in Enfield. And I used to do a lot of weight training, and I used to do free weights with the guys at the back of the gym because I just used to like free weights. And I used to have this Sunday routine, and I just used to notice roughly about 4 o'clock, roughly the same set of people would be going into this room. And I don't know, one week I just got curious and saw, what are they doing? Why is it the same sort of people? And then I checked the timetable on the door, which said yoga. And I was like, I clearly remember saying to myself, next week, I'll try it for a laugh. And I did go back the next week, 4 o'clock. Vicky Scarlett's a teacher. She passed away in like 2011, I believe. And, you know, she was in her 70s, bright red hair, and, you know, wonderful, wonderful teacher. I couldn't do half the class, you know, balancing, whatever. And then she said, take child's pose, Balasana. And something that started off being a laugh, suddenly in Balasana, something switched in my brain. Something, I don't know, something happened in that posture where I stopped thinking it was a laugh and I started paying attention. And I went back every single Sunday, and then just eventually shifted from the gym to yoga.
Wow.
Yeah, there was something quite, you know, I still can't fully describe it, but I just remember shifting from what I wasn't taking seriously. I actually went in there for a laugh, and something shifted in that posture.
Do you think it was the power of rest, or actually maybe you can't put your finger on it?
I still can't quite put my finger on it, but I just remember it was that pose, because it was almost like, oh, this is not what I was expecting to feel in a gym in Enfield when I've just walked away from my free weights. Yeah, it was quite a strange feeling, but a nice feeling. I think maybe because, you know, it's the fetal position, maybe it was calming. I don't know, maybe because I was premature. I was like 2 months premature, and I was like literally a bag of sugar. I was like 2 pounds. You'd never believe it now, would you? So yeah, maybe it was just that going back to that fetal position. That's something, I don't know. I truly don't know, but I know it was that posture.
It's incredible how powerful yoga is, isn't it? Like feeling. So when did you realize that you wanted to teach yoga? I'm guessing not for a while after that class.
Yeah, you would be correct. So I think I just started loving yoga. So this is 2006, and I was still in HR, and yeah, just enjoying it. Started going to more of Vicky's classes, and I think I went on holiday. So I think there's probably 2 or 3 things that happened years apart before I realized I wanted to teach. And I think 2 things that I can recall were being on holiday in St. Lucia, and there was yoga twice a day, and I would go to both classes because I was just so like really into it. And this particular time, the teacher was from London. She was working, like she was like on her, I can't remember, 4-week, 6-week break, teaching yoga in St. Lucia. And I just remember thinking, she's working in St. Lucia teaching yoga. Like, that's yeah, I was like, seed was probably planted, but didn't take a lot of notice of it. And then I think, again, years later, I went to a talk in Friend's House, Euston Road, which I didn't realize was Friend's House. I used to think, when I heard people talking about Friend's House, I thought they were talking about their friend's house as opposed to this big meeting place called Friend's House. And inspirational teacher and speaker called Les Brown. He did a talk. This is, I don't know, well, whatever time he came to London, I don't know if it was 2012, something like that. It was a while ago. And he said something that, again, sort of stuck with me. Another seed was, get paid for doing what you love. Because, you know, we spend so much time at work, you know, how can you, you know, be putting your effort into something if you don't really love it? So the ideal to be is to find something that you love and get paid. And he sort of, you know, whatever his speech was, he said it a few times. And I remember that sticking with me. I think, you know, at the time I was in HR and I loved it to a degree, but I think I was probably getting to the point of, oh, is there something different? So that stuck with me. And then I think, you know, the years are ticking on in HR, and I think I started to realize as I was starting to approach 50, that maybe there was something else, but I didn't know what that something else was. And I'd done, prior to HR, that I started in 2001, I'd had a 12-year retail management career. And again, when I was getting towards the end of that, it was like, well, what do I do? So I knew I was on that, starting to shift to find what the new thing was. And by this time, I'm really getting into yoga. And I think at this point, I've started to notice, because I found triyoga by this time, and I found Anna Ashby, my teacher, by this time. And I've started to notice that after class, people are coming up to Anna with this bit of paper for her to sign. And I'm getting curious, like, what is that? Well, what is she signing? Then I find out, yes, that there's this teacher training program. And then I sort of probably go back to the whole, oh, that lady was teaching in St. Lucia, And then, cut long story short, I think it was probably when I was about 47, 48, I realized it was time for a change. And because I found out that the programs were every 2 years, when I realized that there was one starting in my 50th year, that kind of sealed it. Because I think it was all that journey of time to change out of HR, didn't know what to change to. Then I recall, you know, the holiday with the teacher award. Then I recall Les Brown, get paid for doing what you love. And then I kind of think, and then I think when I find out that the course is part-time, that seals it. And also by this time, I've got so much from it. So I've discovered Hatha Yoga. I've discovered how much it grounds me, how I feel more connected to myself. I've discovered Restorative Yoga, that is just this delicious, passive practice, but allows you to rest and truly rest. And I remember the first time doing that, I just floated out of the class, couldn't quite leave what it was. So knowing what I've experienced over the years, I just thought, if I'm going to change and do something else, wouldn't it be lovely to share what I've experienced with other people? I've never been the greatest student, so I think I was always slightly worried about having to pass exams and be tested again. So my anatomy was always not great. But yeah, I managed to get through.
Well, it's interesting because you have like an amazing eye for detail, and that's something that I've noticed. Like even when we had that little chat, and you noticed straight away that I was left-handed, and when you've taught me, you've actually made some adjustments that are so perceptive, and it's like you do have like a really natural intuition for this restorative and what the body needs. And so yeah, it feels really natural that you gravitated down this path, but it must have taken so much courage to do that at 50, to change your whole life?
I think, I don't know, I've been one of these people, like all through my working career, no matter where I was, retail, HR, I think we spend too much time in the workplace not to enjoy it. So therefore, I'm not going to spend my energy somewhere where I'm not happy and I could find something else to do. So as much as, yeah, it was a bit daunting, it was also deeply exciting, because I was then going to become my own boss. I was then going to discover new things and just step into an arena that I've known from another perspective. So, and I think because I've got like a lot of work experience under my belt, I think you can kind of draw on that. And I was very lucky to spend nearly 10 years in John Lewis, which was just an amazing grounding for my career. So, and I took voluntary redundancy from John Lewis, knowing that that was the start of something different. So that was in 2007, the same year as I started teacher training, the same year I was, sorry, not 2007, 2017. So I was 50 in 2017, took voluntary redundancy from John Lewis, started the teacher training. It was all a bit of a pivotal year for me, 2017.
Yeah, sounds it. Big changes. And actually, I was going to ask you one of my own questions. Did you have any obstacles to doing your teacher training? Was there anything really that stood in your way, or once you made up your mind, were you like, I'm just going to go for it?
I think I'm quite determined in some ways, because I took a long time to think about it. And I think because I thought about it for a long time and did all the pros and the cons, it started to become almost a no-brainer, because I knew I was getting tired of HR. I knew, as much as I enjoyed it, I knew, and because I'd done different roles, and it was great with John Lewis, you can do different secondments in different places. I knew it was similar to the retail now, where I'd been in it a long time, and HR longer. So retail was 12 years, HR is coming up, like, it was 19 years. It's a long time. So I knew I was getting itchy for something else. So I knew something had to give. So that probably made it easier, because I knew that I've been there too long in HR, not necessarily, John Lewis per se, but just in that environment. And it was great, don't get me wrong. I learned so much. I grew up, career-wise in HR, and learned so much, engaging with like leadership team members, restructures. Obviously, as the world of business changed, but it was time for something else. So I was lucky I had my redundancy money to pay for the training, although I'd worked out that I was going to pay for it a different way. And then again, how great John Lewis was, they offered a retraining package, because it was a massive restructure of like HR, IT, and finance. A lot of people, people have jobs for life in John Lewis, so they knew that there was lots of people with 25, 30 years service, I kid you not. So the chairman at the time came up with this program, that if you applied for a professional course, and it was professional body, you were starting it within a year, and it was no more than $6,000, they would pay 70% of it. When I read the criteria, I was like, wow, I'd already enrolled, I'd already got my space. I then got this money back, which was great.
The heaven aligned.
Yeah, it aligned. So again, that was like another sign of, you're on the right path, because I'd made the decision to leave. I was going anyway, but the fact that then that came along as a curveball. I remember sitting with the form, just kind of reading it like 3 times, thinking, we didn't expect this, because it was brand new, no redundancy program before I'd had it. And then so that was another confirmation. And I think because by this point, I've been a student for like 10 years. Wow. So that made it easier, because I did my teacher training before Anna. So therefore, she was my teacher. That felt okay. that I was starting the path with somebody I already know quite well, that I trust, that I respect, that I learn from. So that was a really nice foundation.
Amazing. So the next question, which we touched on a bit in the last question, when, where, and with whom was your first yoga teacher training? So it's kind of melds in, but I think there's a more opportunity to expand on that.
Yeah, sorry, I'm going off piece, aren't
I? Oh, it's brilliant.
So Anna Ashby and Tony Watson, because it's a dual combo on the triyoga teacher training. And it's a 2-year part-time course.
Wow, epic.
350 hours. Amazing. And it's done roughly over 1 weekend a month over the 2 years. Sometimes when it's a bank holiday, you'd have Saturday, Sunday, and the Monday. And then you've got to do your work in between, you know, in each, between the months, you're given homework that you need to do, and anatomy, philosophy, you know, asana, it was all there. And yeah, sometimes it was quite full on because I was working full time, but in 4 days, because I was caring for my mum, my late mum. My mum passed away in 2018. And I enjoyed it, but I had to be quite disciplined with the homework, and sometimes it didn't always work. But TT22, shout out to you guys, love you for life. I was so lucky with the cohort. We just all bonded so very well. And, you know, shout out to Nicola Imrie, forget your married name. Congrats on that. We had a study group that Nicola led, and we were just such a great group, and we all just supported each other. So that was really great. It really helped, knowing that I was always never quite a great student. The sort of connection, Anna and Tony and the study groups really, really helped.
What a lovely bond as well, like to go through that for, you know, over a long period of time.
Yeah, and that made it easier as well, because I couldn't afford to, as much as it would have been lovely to get on a plane and go somewhere for 4 weeks.
Yeah,
that would have been probably too much for me to have all that, you know, learning so packed together. And yeah, it just worked for me because it was all the elements, you know, so it wasn't just pure physical practice, the asana, you know, it was the philosophy, it was the anatomy. So yeah, I'm glad I did it that way over a longer period of time.
Yeah, it gives it time to integrate, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's a lifetime, you know, there's still so much to learn, you know, there's still so much to learn. And yeah, I'm happy to take my time and do that.
Yeah. And then the big question, how many people of colour were on your training?
I was working this out the other day because I do remember I looked at the questions, and I think the cohort started off with about 34, and I think with a couple of drop-offs and a couple of, I think, deferments to other TTs, I think we came down to roughly about 30, 31. And anecdotally, from memory, from seeing other cohorts, I think our one was actually one of the most diverse that I'd noticed. So there was there was 7.
Wow.
7. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, there were 7 of us.
Do you think there's a reason why it was such a diverse course?
I don't know.
Well, diverser.
Yeah, more diverse than other cohorts, because I think I'd been going to try yoga into Anna's classes for so long, and you kind of I didn't know every cohort, of course I didn't, but from those I did see, because obviously a lot of our sessions were held at the Soho branch, and sometimes we'd be in one studio and another cohort would be in the next studio, and then we'd swap over, okay, to do philosophy or to do anatomy. So you would see some of the other cohorts. So obviously, being a person of color, you notice these things, like who's on the same journey as you. And as I say, I've asked for the data. Unfortunately, you know, lots of studios just haven't been keeping it. But obviously, we know going forward that will change. But anecdotally, I think it was probably one of the most diverse of the cohort. But no, I don't know why. Maybe it's just sheer timing that we all just came together on that second cohort.
I wonder if maybe it was the way that it was structured that maybe gave people more freedom within their lives. Who knows? I'm just speculating.
Yeah, and it could be because actually it's an interesting point, because again, of the cohorts, and I think there's a mix, but again, just from memory, and people might, you know, shout me down if they don't agree, but also from our cohort, I think we were a mix of older people as well. So they were younger, but you know, everybody wasn't so like 23, you know, not that there's anything wrong with being 23 and teacher training, but I just again think we were, some of the cohort, we were older, already got other careers or switching over, as opposed to say straight in. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the other observation I would say I'd make from our cohort. So it probably maybe is that midlife thing or change of career, who knows?
I was wondering if it was like also that, you know, maybe you have to, there's certain criteria that you need to drop everything in your life and to just go and do a 200-hour teacher training somewhere, and that maybe there's more diversity because there's more diversity in a longer course because, you know, with the structural barriers that maybe not everybody is able to then just
exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Because people were, you know, married, got families, you know, doctors, partners in practices. So yeah, absolutely. You got this other career, so no, you can't kind of pick up and go for a month. And also, it's just that spread of time. And not everybody necessarily joined to teach. I know some people joined to, you know, deepen their practice.
Makes sense. So, highs and lows of the yoga wellness industry. What comes to mind? Let's start. Well, start with whatever you want.
I'll do it the way I always recommend. Start with the lows and then end with the highs.
Yeah.
So for me, I just feel it shouldn't have taken George Floyd, may he rest in peace, to be killed in such an awful way, for the world to sit up, and in particular the wellness industry, to then have this breaking news moment. Oh, my team's not diverse, and oh, the students in my whatever your establishment is not as diverse. So for me, that is a big low, because as much as, don't get me wrong, it is great that, you know, people are now stepping forward, as long as you're not being performative, that people are trying to do, you know, broadly, everybody's stepping up and trying to do better, which is great. But I think it's a sad day that it took something so awful to make a change. And I just think if you've chosen to step into offering whatever your offering is to help people feel better, is to improve lives, yada yada yada, right? If you've stepped forward to do that is responsible. You know, you've stepped forward to say, I'm going to make this difference. Okay, yes, you've got a business to run, of course, I get that, but I just think there is a responsibility when you've got an offering. And, you know, I think Donna Noble coined it so well. It's like, who's not here? Who is missing? And I think there is a responsibility when you're a business owner or a leader in any of these industries, whatever you're offering, to know your customers, to know your industry, know the society you're in, and actually who is missing. And that should be a question, full stop. Not because you feel pressure, because the world is now going Black Lives Matter, and you're now catching heat because your team's not that diverse and your students are not that diverse. Come on, you knew before the 25th of May 2020, but you didn't do anything about it. So to me, that is big low for me. And then one of the other lows, big low, in the yoga industry in particular, is when studios portray like, look at the media. All I would, I'm probably jumping question, but the ask is, for me, be mindful of the media. Like, what does your marketing show? So you're showing a really complex posture that's not accessible to everybody. And you've got a thin, attractive person in that posture. And again, it's like, what is that saying? So that probably goes hand in hand with the whole who's missing. But again, I just think there's a responsibility that when you're putting your adverts out, your marketing out, who is it attracting and is it representative? And I just think, again, with your hand on your heart, you should have been able to look down your feed. You know, I can't remember whose training I went on recently, but, you know, some of the anti-racism training or talks I've been on, you know, you do a Google search of yoga and what comes up. You know, it's like, you're part of that. If you're running a business, whatever it is in the wellness industry, and you're not representing society, that's a low for me. So those are my lows. So my highs are just a wonderful sense of community where, you know, we can do things like this to, you know, bring people together, to have connection, you know. So shout out to MoreYoga, because absolutely all through this lockdown, they have this sense of community. And even outside of lockdown, they really try and bring people together to make things accessible. And, you know, as teachers, even as students, you do, you know, I've made friends that I never probably thought I would make friends with. Even coming back to, you know, the teacher training, I don't think I realized how connected it probably was going to be. I don't think I banked on that. You know, I'm still close friends, you know, a year and a half later with people I met on teacher training. And, you know, it may sound naive that I didn't think about that, but I just didn't. And it's strange where, you know, through social media, so yes, some of it is negative with these, you know, pretty Instagram pictures, but again, I've connected with people that I don't know or I wouldn't have known, but you're creating a sense of community.
Yeah.
And what was my other high? I think there was another high. I might have to come back to it.
All right, think about it.
I think about it, but yeah, definite sense of community. And also, I think the fact that, you know, as much as I'm saying, you know, there is responsibility to, you know, make sure you are making an offering to everyone wherever possible. The flip side is you have an offering. You've stepped forward and you have come up with something to invite people in. Okay, you probably are not inviting everybody in, but there is a starting point there, which I think is quite positive, because I know it helped me, you know, to be nosy, because that's what it was, me being nosy what was going on in that room in 2006. It was because I had the opportunity to go into somewhere to, you know, to have an offering.
Okay, so what is your one ask in the wellness industry?
The ask is for sustained change. So for me, it's like, please don't be performative. I know it's tough. I know it feels really uncomfortable where you're being, you know, questioned, criticized, you know, said you could do better. You're not alone, yeah? So it's almost like take a step back from that and just concentrate on what can you do to make a sustained difference. Because what I don't want to be doing is this time next year seeing everybody revert to type.
Yeah.
And I just think whatever measures you have done or are doing, don't think that's it once you get to the end of that, because it's almost like repeat. So Dr. Stacey Graham, who's the consultant that Triyoga have engaged, I know Stacey, I sit in a circle with her, and she's doing some amazing work. And I would invite, for my building on my ask, is Janelle Lewis did a talk with her on Janelle's IGTV. I forget what it's called, but if you just go into her IGTV on Instagram, there is a talk where Stacey and Janelle are talking about what the wellness industry can do to do better. And there's like some clear steps that she said to follow. It's about doing training, making the investment, getting the right people in, and then you need to repeat it. So it was a great conversation, and it's like, just watch that, and just seek the help. But sustained change, that is my ask.
I feel very optimistic that it's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. I do.
Yeah.
But it's just,
it has to be conscious.
Sorry?
It has to be conscious, I think.
It's conscious, but it's also sustained. It can't just be now. It needs to be ongoing and repeated, and constantly questioning, who is missing, who's not here, who are we approaching, can we do that? And it's not to drive yourself mad and again feel uncomfortable, but it's just to maintain the good work that you're starting to do, not losing sight of that, basically, not taking your foot off the gas.
Absolutely. Monica has just put the link in. Thank you, Monica.
Thank you, Monica.
Part of the IGTV. So any studios watching, the info is there.
Go, girl.
Okay, next question. What got you through lockdown number 1 and then lockdown number 2? And I guess all of these days, these crazy changing days.
No, yeah. So connection is a very, very big thing for me. So shout out to the beautiful Tawny Cortez, who is on screen now. She's been a big part of lockdown, because she said very early on that she had found speaking to somebody every day, different people every day, was really helpful. And I thought, actually, that's, because you text. Yeah. Actually speaking to somebody was great. So once she said that, I made this concerted effort. Even if it was like 5-10 minutes, I'd find somebody different to speak to. And that really, really helped. And then when we were talking, Tawny and I, and another lady, CFA, we know again from Anna's classes, we had this great conversation one Thursday afternoon, and we're like, oh, why don't we just put it in the diary? So that was great, just literally having it in the diary every 2 weeks, and we've done it all the way through lockdown 1 and lockdown 2, and I'm sure it's this week that is our catch up, and that's been absolutely great. And it has really, really helped. And then another friend of mine from school, long-time school friend, Patricia, she used to come to my Thursday morning Hatha class, because when the first lockdown happened, I tried as much as possible to keep my routine. So the classes that I had lost, because obviously the studios were shut, I tried to just recreate them by putting them on Zoom. So 7 o'clock, because I already had 7 o'clock in Wembley, I put that on, and there was sometimes it was just me and Patricia. She would come, week after week, she would come to my class, and there was a week where, I'm sure we'll get to it, where there was a few weeks where there were more people. But yeah, she was my die-hard Thursday morning. And then I'm going to look up my phone, because what I don't want to do is forget anybody. But I touched on it by mentioning Stacey, and Tawny is part of the group as well. But I became a member of a group. It's a spin-off from the Yogis of Colour group. And it's a WhatsApp group. And there's about over 100 people in that group. And back in May, I think, there was a video that went around that just didn't represent, people of colour. And I think Aisha, shout out to Aisha, came up with the idea of, let's go and address this. So she started a smaller group. And in that smaller group, we've come from being born out of frustration into, we're now developing something really great. Don't know what it is yet, so don't ask me. But we're moving towards trying to create a something, be it a space, just to find ways to invite people of colour in, to say, you can practice, you can, experience the wellness industry, because it's a mix of, not just yoga teachers, you've got all kinds of different practitioners in there. So I just want to make sure I give a shout out to everybody, because I don't want to forget anybody's name, because I might do that. So bear with me, I'm just going into my live TV.
Yeah.
Ladies,
You admire your earrings and your necklace and your Sagittarius season sparkle, and I can't get through anything without mentioning astrology, so I apologize.
no, don't apologize. I think it's wonderful. So shout out to lovely Tawny, who's on screen here. So to Jay Gibbs, to Aisha, to Corey, to Dill, Lorna, Donna, Gabriella, Janelle, Callie, Layla, Lexi, Nadia, Stacy, Toril, Twana, Valerie, and Maisa.
Oh,
thank you, ladies, because we meet every Monday.
How lovely.
And it's just great, just really getting to know one another and, you know, coming up with ideas of what we can do. And that it's really developed, and it's been great every Monday at 9 o'clock to, you know, meet with those ladies. And yeah, it's been quite powerful. So unexpectedly, but it's great as we develop whatever we're developing.
So that got you through the lockdowns.
Got me through the lockdown. So that was lockdown 1, and obviously it's continued into lockdown 2. So that has been a big part of, you know, getting me through lockdown 2. But also I think just broadly the headline of connection. So I think all those connections from lockdown 1, you know, the fortnightly meetings, the speaking to people, the, you know, getting to know new people, it's connection that's kept me going through lockdown. And of course, no surprise, yoga, particularly restorative yoga. Yeah. So as much as I, you know, do practice the hatha, because, you know, my vinyasa days are long gone, I get a lot from restorative. I get an awful lot. So even though it appears not an awful lot is happening, I personally get a lot from the practice. I find it deeply nourishing. So my practice is often a little bit of movement, but then more so restorative.
Yeah, it is a lifesaver, I think, and that's why I'm like, everybody needs to know about it, and everybody needs to know about Yvonne teaching restorative yoga.
You're too kind.
It's true. So rest in peace, George Floyd, and then. So obviously we touched on that a little bit about, you know, how that created change, but how, you know, so yes, so how did the studios and how did social media respond? Like how many additional followers and studios have approached you since?
So the followers was like, this was like a bit like, ooh, weird for me, because I can remember, so shout out to Adam Biddle, who we know Adam from MoreYoga, but he now runs his own studio in Reading, Yogina, with the lovely Purdy. He runs also as well a social media agency called Ghost Media. And Adam was offering through the first lockdown every Wednesday morning free social media chats, and he would be brilliant on saying, you know, how to come up with your Instagram stories and, you know, have your content pillars and do this. And I learned so much from Adam. And I think there was a question one day about like professional, like having a professional account. And I clearly remember saying, no, you don't need a professional account until you've got about 1,000 followers. And I can remember at that point laughing to myself, going, I'm never going to get 1,000 followers, because I think I had something like 552, not even 600, right? I've now got 1,500 followers. So granted, some of them are probably just from where I'm in different studios now in different places, but categorically around the time of George Floyd was killed and people were advised to diversify their feed, I kid you not, I did get untold new followers. And interestingly now, you can't see who, obviously, but I did switch to a professional account, but each week there are unfollows of, you know, roughly, I don't know, 9, 10 each week, which is quite interesting. But yeah, definitely did get increased followers. And to be fair, you know, people did come to my class, people that, you know, I hadn't seen before, you know, and it's great that people were trying to diversify their feeds. And again, I would just say sustained change, you know, doing your work, you know, whatever that is for you, you know, making sure it is sustained and it's not just a one-hit wonder, not just a black square. And then when it comes to studios, so the bigger yogas of color WhatsApp group, some studios and platforms had approached like Layla and say Nikita. So for example, Movement from One Life, you know, shout out to you, to Kat, put her hand up straight away to say, yeah, I want to do better, I want to have more teachers of color. Had some, but you know, wanted more. So put out an ad campaign. And again, the message was put in the Yogas of Color group to approach Kat. You know, it was a clear application process. I sent in a 15-minute video, and yes, I'm now on Movement from One Life. And same with Down to Earth. Shout out to Vanda, putting her hand up, say, yeah, I want to do better, I want to have more teachers of color. So again, went to meet Vanda. I now teach at Down to Earth. And shout out to Louise Jackson at Pause. Now this made me cry because Louise came to my class. So unbeknownst to me, again, around the time when George was killed, you know, new followers, extra people coming, new people coming to my class. Great. So I will always remember how those opportunities came along. So I remember one evening, and shout out actually to Lydiana, because Lydiana had, I think, recommended me to Louise, but I didn't make the connection. And this lady's in my class with other new people, and yeah, people say thank you very much, and off they go. And then in the next morning, Friday morning, I read this email from Louise Jackson saying, oh, thank you so much for the class last night. It was an amazing class, really enjoyed it. And I wondered if you would be interested in having a conversation with me about coming to teach at my studio. That made me cry because I hadn't been approached like that.
Yeah.
And this is why I say I'll never forget why I've had some of the opportunities. So don't get me wrong, yes, I'll shine bright and do what I can and share yoga, but I will not forget that in some instances it's come on the back of George being killed. So yes. And then only last week, shout out to Rebecca, wish you well. Rebecca at Yoga Point Brookston reached out to me on the back of my Instagram, just saying she loves what she sees on my Instagram. And again, would I be interested in teaching there? Because again, wants to have more teachers of color, has some, but wants to do more. So yeah.
So yeah, things are changing.
They are. But what am I going to say? Sustained
change, definitely.
Sustained change, yeah. But you know what? Hands up and deep respect to all the studios who put their hand up and step forward to say, you know, I am interested. And also shout out to Aisha for recommending me at East of Eden, and thank you to Abby for taking on board there as well.
But it also just goes to show how many incredible teachers might not have shone through, you know, that we had to reach this point.
Exactly. So that's where it comes down to that sustained change, to keep that going, you know, to keep noticing who's missing, you know, who's not on your team, who's not in your studio, students, staff. It's an ongoing process.
Yeah, looking around the room.
Looking around the room. Yeah.
Okay, so what's the rest of 2020 looking like for you? Time to promote what you got.
Time to promote. Okay, so I put my little piece of paper there so I didn't forget anything. Right? So as part of being in this smaller Yogas of Color group, we're called the BIPOC Wellness Group, until we come up with a new name. I've come across, Janelle's introduced us to a wonderful lady called Twana Doherty, who is the owner and managing director of Yoga Matters. So breaking news, did you all know that the owner, managing director of Yoga Matters is a woman of color? So,
wow, no, I didn't.
Exactly. So not a lot of people know that.
In there now.
Sure. So Twana's been amazing with sharing her platform with, you know, many women and, you know, many women of color, not just women of color, but she's just been brilliant with, you know, supporting my career. So I've had one class. She puts on a free class. I think it was around menopause. Yeah, menopause week, did a free restorative class with them for Yoga Matters. So I'm doing another class this Thursday for Yoga Matters customers. So it's free for them. Obviously, I get paid, but it's free. It's free for them. And there was like the first one had 55 people. Second one, there was 100 people. I made a mistake. I should have used WebEx, not WebEx, webinar. So there were 200 people that didn't get in because obviously Zoom limits you on the 100 on the package I have. So we've rescheduled it. Now definitely got a webinar set up with Yoga Matters. So potentially there's about another 200 people. So that's on Thursday. And then on Saturday the 19th, I'm running my own 2-hour restful gratitude restorative workshop. So that's a way to just pause and reflect on the year that we've had, and just it's been tough, it's been emotional, but it's also time to pause and reflect on what are you actually grateful for getting this far in the year, and then also to have some rest in the restorative poses. So that's Saturday.
I can't wait. I'll be there.
No, I was going to say thank you so much. I think you booked the first ticket, so thank you so much. Yeah, 4:30 to 6:30, all on my website, YvonneHenriettaYoga.com. And then 1st of January, I'm doing a free class with MoreYoga on New Year's Day in Haggerston. So Haggerston's going to be my new studio in January.
Imagine.
So I've not been to it yet, so I'm interested in seeing the Haggerston studio. So the theme for New Year's Day is letting go. So I'll be doing, of course, my restorative there. And then with my videos being released on Movement for Modern Life, a new one went out today with my dear friend Kenny from
Saw a little clip, I think.
Sorry?
I think I saw a little clip on Instagram.
Yeah, a little clip. Yeah, me and Kenny. Kenny Gold Yoga, check him out. There is an online retreat with Movement for Modern Life, Friday the 8th of January to Sunday the 10th. And on Sunday the 10th, I'm doing an hour session co-teaching with Rocky Jasani, who's amazing. And do check out my link on Movement for Modern Life. And if you use the code Yvonne20, you get 20% off subscriptions. And then when you are a subscriber, you then get 50% off further subscriptions. So for me, it's like the gift of well-being. What better than a subscription to platform? Yeah. And then in January, date to be confirmed, and then in June, be roughly around my birthday, 20th of June, I'm going to be teaching probably online and then in person in Ireland with my dear friend Brenda.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, another restorative teacher, Brenda, who runs the Ananda Centre in Ireland. Yeah, we're going to collaborate. So I'm super excited about that. We're speaking about that this week. And then, yeah, more collaborations probably like next year coming up. Sorry, that was the end of 2020, wasn't it? Yeah, sorry, I've jumped into next year.
2021, of course, sorry.
Yeah, so the end of 2020 is like Yoga Matters.
2020 is over, sorry.
My retreat on Saturday, and then this is all early into next year. So yeah, more collaborations with Yoga Matters, I believe, and then next Monday, the 21st of December, I will be able to announce the best cover of my life.
Ooh.
I can't announce it yet, but I'll announce it next Monday.
Okay.
Super excited.
Oh, okay. I'm going to be like hooked for the announcement.
You might be like, yeah, whatever.
I'm sure it won't be. I'm sure I'm good. Yeah. And are you teaching online on MoreYoga?
Yes, Sundays at the moment, Sundays at 5:30, but again, TBC, because obviously it's a moving feast at the moment. It's all changing, isn't it? It's all changing, yeah. So at the moment, just gone back to Sundays. And again, shout out to MoreYoga, and that's another thing I should have said that got me through lockdown, is just being able to have the income, because they were very, very savvy, that they switched very quickly onto online. And you know, I was very lucky, like all through the first lockdown I did have, like, you know, one or two classes every week. So thank you, Shamir, Dan, and Beck, and all the wonderful dears.
And anything else we haven't touched on? These are your questions. Maybe you have one more question for yourself.
No, I think I've talked enough.
Well, I've loved hearing your journey, and now we have time for some questions from the floor. Any questions from the floor? Anybody out there want to ask some questions? Don't be shy. It's now or never.
No.
They are being shy. Oh,
sometimes it's just no questions as well, you know.
Yeah, but there are some comments. Amazing interview, so proud to see, shining bright, and all the amazing opportunities that are coming your way. And that's from Tawny.
Oh, thank you, darling.
Monica says, I'd love to hear about the 2021 best cover. I love that you've dropped a, like, my friend calls it like a pre-ad. So it's like it gets the anticipation going.
Pre-ad, yeah. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything, but I was asked not to share it this week, but share it next week. So I thought I just got to get it in there.
It's good to have you. I think it's good to build the anticipation. So Monica, I'm so proud to call you my sister and love to do our Restore retreat with MoreYoga a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, we did. Oh my God, sorry, I should have said that. Yes. Amazing.
Big thanks. Tor says big thanks for all the connections. Yes, thank you.
Big thanks to Tor for literally being here every single week. I think she missed 1 week and it was so sweet. She actually like messaged me going, I'm so sorry, I can't make it tonight. I've got to. I'm like, come on, Tor, why are you apologizing? Yeah, no, it's so sweet. So yeah, it means so much making the time. And then the person that kicked it all off, she's there hiding off camera. Good evening, Peace. My first interviewee.
There in the corner. Hi, Peace. I don't know why I said in the corner. It's just the way the screen.
I'll stay hiding off camera, but like, I'm so sorry. I've like, after the news this evening, I had to see a friend, but oh my God, I had to also come back here, and I was just like rushing here, trying to get back for this. Oh my God, it was amazing being there first, and you were just a joy to be interviewed by. You made it so easy, and yeah, I'm gutted. I'm going to catch up with it all. And actually, do you know what? I wanted to say this the other time when Shamir was here, but he talked a lot. He talked a lot. So, but yeah, that was amazing. Seeing him, and actually when I saw you post the post that you were going to be the last one, I was like, it had to be, and I'm like I said, thank you so much for giving us voices, for bringing this platform and just making this possible. Like I can't think of anyone else who would have been better to have done it but you.
Thank you, Peace. Means so much. Means so much. But you know what? There has to be credit. Thank you so much for saying that. But you know what? I have to give credit to Beck and, you know, Shamia and Dan, because they wanted to do this. So, you know, I was asked to come and create a space, you know. So it wasn't me banging down the door going, you must do something different. They came to me and said, you know, we want to do something. And they do definitely want to make a difference. So I'm quite proud to be part of the team with an organisation that absolutely wants to make a difference. So thank you to them. So because of them, I am able to have this platform. And yes, it's going to continue into 2021.
MoreYoga.
I'm back 11th of January.
No, I've been there from the beginning, and I agree with you. They have been super, super supportive, from Daniel to Shamir to Noor to Bex to every single one of them who've been there every step of the way. But yeah, so
we're very lucky. So it is a wonderful community. It's a wonderful community.
Yeah, and you've created this space though so gently. You know, it's such a you've made it just a beautiful place for people to share their stories, create the platform, and to show the magic of yogis of color. And
absolutely, yeah. And I'm quite proud of the way people have engaged with it. So even though there's only a few of you here tonight, which is still wonderful, Beck has said she's really pleased with the YouTube views is actually quite high. And I go back in sometimes and I do check on the MoreYoga site, and they're quite high. You've had over 100 views, Peace.
What?
Yeah, seriously, you should check it out. You've had over 100 views.
That's crazy. I think that's insane, but
Yeah, so it's really interesting to see. So there is take up. So so thank you for everybody that is engaging, turning up each week. It's an hour out of your time, 2.5 hours out of your time when it was Shamir. It's so great. So yeah, it's great for you to have made the time to listen to our stories, because I think that's really important and it does mean a lot. So thank you. And thank you for watching on Catch Up as well. And if you have any questions on Catch Up, please type into the box and I'm happy to respond.
Yeah, and also, I guess any questions they can ask on YouTube as well. And if there's anything else that you want to tell them.
No, that's it. I'm talked out.
Well, it has been an absolute honor to hear your journey, and I'm going to say it again, if you haven't practiced with Yvonne, practice. And you know what, the good thing about these times, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, people could be watching this anywhere in the world and they can do one of your classes wherever they are. And so that is the magic of this and the magic of Zoom or whatever.
Yes, of online platforms. Online, yeah, it is amazing.
So,
amazing.
So anybody can practice with you anywhere they are. And I really hope that they find this and that they do. I'm wishing everybody happy, gentle, safe, healthy holidays. Love, connection, yes. All the good stuff.
All the good stuff. Keep safe, keep well, keep happy, and definitely see you for coffee. In fact, I need to see all of each of you for coffee in the new year. Definitely have a catch up.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
So thank you everybody who joined us. I was just checking to see and if anything. Yes to coffee, basically everybody's saying.
Yeah.
Some hearts popping up as well. So round of applause for Yvonne. Coffee and hugs. Monica said.
Coffee and hugs.
So hugs to all of you, and thank you so much for sharing your journey, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to connect.
Thank you for asking. So that is my final word. Actually, my final word is to you for prodding me to say, when am I sharing my story? Because I
needed to hear it.
I couldn't quite decide how I was going to do it, and how can I ask somebody to interview me? So when you asked me the question, I said, now you've asked, so I'm gonna invite you to do it. So thank you.
And I saw this quote today, and now I'm not going to remember it because I'm going to have to look it up. But I think it's relevant. Give me 1 second.
Go for it. Live TV is so good.
Here we go. I should have had it read.
Don't worry. Live TV. It's not Memorex. It's live.
Tell the story of the mountain you climbed. Your words could become a page in someone else's survival guide. Morgan Harper Nichols. So changing careers, or whatever the perils of the yoga journey. But
there is actually a blog. I did a blog for Yoga Matters, and it's actually on my website, that whole changing career at 50. So it's on my Instagram, but it's also on my website. So if somebody wants to be inspired, if you're thinking about it, do it. Just do it. Step into the power and just do it. At least you've tried. Better to have tried than keep wondering, what if I wonder.
Definitely. Totally inspiring. All right. Have a
All right,
beautiful
lovelies.
evening, everybody. Take
Happy
care.
holidays. Thank you
Happy
so much for
holidays.
coming on board, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye guys.